to the Wheatfield. Even though Valentine's Day will be over, it's Valentine's Day today while I'm recording this. So I decided I was going in a different direction with the message, and this one just kept coming back. So surprise, we're talking about love. Hopefully you're not so over hearing about love. If you hate Valentine's Day, forget that it's even associated with this message. Because it's an important message. I know it's one I needed to hear, and maybe you do too. It's not fun to hear, and sometimes we zone it out because we've heard it a million times. But how many times do you think the Bible tells us, commands us to love our neighbor? Guess. 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 times. It's one of the most frequent commandments in the Bible is love your neighbor. And even though I think sometimes in seasons it's easy to love your neighbor, I don't know that I feel that way right now. It's an interesting world we live in. I think it's easy to love people that think like you, love people that are on the same page with you, love people that don't offend you, love people who have never wronged you. Those things are not easy to do, but we're still commanded to do those, to love our neighbor. And even in biblical times, it was hard for people to understand, like, who is my neighbor? Please tell me who it is that I'm supposed to be loving. And Jesus uses the parable of the Good Samaritan to teach them and us who is the neighbor we're supposed to be loving. So a couple of verses I love, Galatians 5:14, for the whole law is fulfilled in one word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Mark 12:30, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. The second greatest commandment is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. No commandment is greater than loving God and loving your neighbor as yourself. But I do wonder, like, if you're watching this and you're a believer, what is happening? Because for me, it really is easy to love people that are on the same page with me. It's easy to love my neighbor who doesn't offend me by something they post on social media that does not line up with exactly what I think. But here is a parable that I want us to learn something from, okay? So take a minute and listen to this. This is the parable of the Good Samaritan found in Luke. One day, an expert in the law stood up to test him. Teacher, he asked, what must I do to inherit eternal life? What is written in the law? Jesus replied. How do you read it? He answered, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus said, you have answered correctly. Do this and you will live. But wanting to justify himself, he asked Jesus, so who is my neighbor that I'm supposed to be loving? Give me some parameters here. And this is what Jesus said. Jesus said, a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he fell into the hands of robbers. They stripped him, beat him, and went away, leaving him for half dead. Now, by chance, a priest was going down the same road, but when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. A priest did. But when a Levite came to that same spot and saw this man who had been robbed, he passed by on the other side as well. But when a Samaritan on a journey came upon him, he looked at him and had compassion. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii, which is the payment of that time, and gave them to the innkeeper. Take care of him, he said, and on my return I will repay you for an additional expense. Which of these 3, this is what Jesus asked the man, inquiring, hey, who's my neighbor? I only have so much love to give. I gotta make sure I'm not giving it to people that you don't command I give it to. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The one who showed him mercy, replied the expert in the law. Then Jesus told him, go and do likewise. And so what I'm telling us is to go and do likewise. Loving your neighbor is showing mercy to the person that has offended you. Mercy to the person that doesn't think like you. Mercy to the person that maybe has not been your favorite person from your past. And this looks different for everyone. And this love challenge I want to leave us with, is to go and do likewise. Who can you show mercy to in your life? Who is God telling you to love your neighbor right now? Who is that neighbor that you need to show a little mercy to? they may never even know you're showing them mercy. But if someone comes to mind this week as you listen to this message and you want to send them a text or send them a note or meet them for coffee, they don't have to know that you're showing them mercy, but that is you loving them. And we are called 8 different times commanded to love our neighbor as ourselves. It's the people we know that are easy to love, and it's the people that we've never even met. So find a neighbor, whoever that is to you, and go and do likewise. See you next week. Hey, just to make sure you don't miss the week, make sure to sign up for the weekly newsletter that goes out with every Wheatfield Wednesday video. It's got questions for the week, challenges for the week, the weekly verse, and you don't want to miss it, so sign up.